This is TWiT. Well, Microsoft is doing some interesting things, including possibly, maybe, kind of, a smartwatch. This was an exclusive by Parmi Olsen over at Forbes.com, and she says that Microsoft is working on a smartwatch. Not surprising that they're working on a smartwatch. Microsoft's the kind of company that might want to do that sort of thing. What was surprising was that her sources say that they could have something on the market by the end of the summer. I would be shocked if they did that. But does the world really want a, I guess, a Windows Phone-like smartwatch? Is that a good platform?
Well, the reality is that I'm not sure the world really wants any smartwatches yet. I mean, we saw that spoof video a little while ago. I think that something will happen. Somebody will invent an aspect to smartwatches that will make them something you really feel like you need to own. But so far, I haven't seen that special feature quite yet. And in fact, we've been doing, Sharon Vaknin, who works for CNET, has been doing some interesting tests on heart rate monitors. And even the heart rate functionality on most of these devices doesn't really work.
Yeah.
I mean, it works, but in under very certain circumstances, which is that you have to be holding perfectly stock still. And even then, they're not as accurate as, you know, an EKG or a chest-based heart band. So it's so young, is what I'm saying.
So if you actually die,
early.
It's very accurate. It will say you're dead because you're holding still, right? So
yes, you have to be holding. But yeah, I mean, it'll say 0, which would be accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I've been kind of stunned. We keep hearing about this revolution in biometrics, and everything is either a heart monitor or a pedometer. It's like enough already.
Right.
You know, my watch, my
all
phone.
that you can do, unless you're going to work with the FDA, which none of these companies seem to want to do. You can't make any real medical claims, so you've got to be like, oh, we'll help you count your calories, lose some, you know, it's like they're like the Weight Watchers of apps or something. It's like, we'll make promises, we don't have to keep them. So heart rate, pedometer, calories, you know.
Right.
I mean, until somebody actually works with the FDA to do something that really does something, it's a medical device that will make recommendations about your health that could hurt you or help you, you're just going to see all these like gimmicky things.
Well, and working with the FDA is an incredibly laborious, complicated process for very good reason. And I know this because this is really personal, but I have an insulin pump and a continuous blood glucose monitor that goes under my skin and feeds data about my blood sugar to this pump because I'm type 1 diabetic. And that technology is so not something you would want on your wrist. I mean, it is incredibly complicated, and just the layers of like tape and special kinds of adhesives that it takes to do that kind of thing is just very complicated. I think it's going to be a really long time until we get devices that are sort of both medically accurate and useful and things that you want to go, you know, over to Target and buy and put on your body.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a really complicated set of problems. So I think that whatever we get in a smartwatch is not, there may be some health aspects, right? Like the pedometer and the sort of general awareness of your activity. But there has to be something that's really not health related that is the killer feature that we haven't quite seen yet.
I went to this Samsung event last week for their SIM band, which is like yet another Samsung wearable device, but really quite different than the Galaxy Gear stuff, because SIM band is, in theory, this open platform for really futuristic wearable devices. And in fact, they want companies to invent new kinds of sensors. And I think they talked about blood glucose monitoring as a specific example. They want people to invent a technology that works for that. And so it's really intriguing. I've never thought of Samsung as the kind of company that would lead a open hardware platform, but at least they're giving it a try. And they conveniently announced it a few days before WWDC, which I'm sure was intentional.
I'm sure it was. Well, and Samsung has a medical devices business, right? I mean, Samsung is such a huge conglomerate in Korea. They've got their fingers in everything, right? Like, I think they make, you know, ships.
Yeah.
Right. So they do have an entire business against creating medical technology that I think that they're going to try to marry some of that with their consumer division.
Yeah. And the press photos of the prototype band, I guess, that they showed had, I don't know, what, 30 sensors on it. I mean, it was ridiculous. It had so many things in it. I mean, what are they sensing there? I mean,
the first one that they're shipping to developers later this year does not look all that exciting inherently. It's not radically different, but the idea is that it's a starting point for new technologies. One cool thing about it is they want to create a wearable device which you actually can wear 24/7, which generally speaking you can't because of battery issues. And they have like this little shuttle battery where you charge your battery and then you snap it onto your SIM band, and so you don't have to take your SIM band off.
That sounds like a cool innovation. They also announced a cloud service called SAMI.
SAMI.
And I understand that that's going to support non-Samsung devices may be able to use that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean that's also in theory an open platform, and according to Samsung at least, the great thing about SAMI is the consumer controls all the data, and there aren't any privacy issues because if it's part of SAMI, it's not going to be anything that anybody's going to try to monetize.
I've been stunned by the amount of attention that an association of medical-related and health-related things have been circulating around the smartwatch category. Apple, of course, has been hiring all these medical experts that have been seen on the campus and have been hired. And I just don't understand the attraction to that. It's just like, like you say, Lindsey, it doesn't seem like that's the killer app. I think the real killer app for smartwatches is going to be, frankly, branding and design.